purple wig and did not know what to say. It left me sort of startled and confused. Red lips and white makeup and those big old red shoes. But my daddy tore a knot in me for being so damn rude. He said, son, don't you know that clowns are people too? Clowns are people too. Big red shoes. Clowns are people too. Don't be rude. If you weren't a bit lucky, then this could easily be you. I met your mom when she was up on that old trapeze. What can I say, but hey, I had a thing for circus freaks. I started watching Bozo and warmed to the movie It. Killer Clowns from Outer Space to me was a big hit. Some people like McDonald's because of Mayor McCheese, but Ronald is my homeboy now, and Krusty and Pinky. Clowns are people too. Big red shoes. Clowns are people too. Don't be rude. If you weren't a bit lucky, then this could easily be you. I met your mom when she was up on that old trapeze. What can I say, but hey, I had a thing for circus freaks. Clowns are people too. Clowns are people too. Now I own some tiny horns and got me those red shoes. I don't know much, but know one thing that's true. If you don't know anything, just know that clowns are people too.
Welcome to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, part of the Chief Sports Network.
Mad Dog's upstate raised and reared up near the tater patch. He flirted with that upstate team, now bleeds garnet and black. It's been almost 2 decades since JC started Big Spur. He may live outside of Chicago, but he's all Spartanburg. It's the show, the Gamecocks Show. ITG, Phil and JC, it's the show. It's fun and entertainment, but also information, things you cannot get on radio. It's the show. Gather around, all you Gamecocks, it's the show. The show. Let's go. JC and Mad Dog Mully on the Gamecock Show.
Welcome in, everybody, inside the Gamecocks The Show. Mad Dog Mullinax here, JC Shurburtt over there. Big breaking news today. Couple of items hitting our desks here, or inboxes, if you will, kind of a new school way of thinking. So grab your lunch pail. I'll be happy to trade a granola bar with somebody if they have some cookies or something. But yeah, my lunch is not necessarily as adequate today as it generally is. I'm lying. I can't lie to you people. I really don't do lunch.
I'm
not a big lunch guy.
I can definitely not do lunch. I definitely don't do breakfast.
No breakfast. Yeah, I don't do that. Coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, coffee. By the way, welcome in, new club chief member. Phil, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're coming in.
Am I
nice
good?
And hot. Yeah, man.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, new club chief member, Robert Hill. $4.99 a month. You can get the chat box. I know we got some news on the project, the 1110 project or whatever you call it. We're going to discuss that first and foremost. And then the final transfer portal rankings are out from 247 Sports. Made a huge mistake right before we got on. I usually do not read the YouTube comments because there's all kinds of people on YouTube.
Oh no.
But I read this. I wanted to address it because I went back after the guy because I was like shocked. So this morning on coffee, I'm talking about how Tuesday really is the worst day of the week. Like, there's nothing significant about Tuesday. There used to be, for me personally,
Right.
with bingo,
Right.
in college, different reasons. Monday has Monday Night Football and college national championship. Nothing ever happens on a Tuesday, right? Very few things. So as days go, I would rank Tuesday 7th. I said that at the top, no big deal. Sometimes I say things like that and point out life observations. That's me. But I had mentioned that Wednesday I'd gone to church as a child. You remember Wednesday? Who here went to church on Wednesday when you were a kid, especially if you're a Baptist growing up?
Yeah, Wednesday church was a thing. Yeah,
Wednesday church was a thing. Even when I went to another denomination, Wednesday church was a thing. That's when we had youth group. Okay. So this person who apparently listens just lets into it. It's sad to me that going to church now is something that someone did in childhood. You need to talk to the Lord, people, because he's coming back. And then I was like, well, it's probably some people like spam with religious comments and stuff like that sometimes. And I was like, well, and then at the end it said go Gamecocks. So it was one of our own, right?
It's one of our own. So
I said, look, man, look, first and foremost, right? There's nothing, the place I choose to worship now, there's nothing on Wednesday. I'm sorry that there's no spaghetti supper. I'm sorry that I'm too old to go to RAs and I don't sing as well as I did as a kid. There's no choir practice. There's no youth group. I'm not that guy hanging out in the youth group at his 40s or late 40s, right? Right. I don't. So no, I don't go on Wednesdays anymore. That was only to point out that Wednesday was a very cool day back in the church going days when I was a kid when we went on Wednesdays. It doesn't mean I'm going to hell or a heathen or a non-believer or anybody. Nobody has the right to sit there and judge me personally or my faith based on a comment I made when you don't understand what I was saying. And that pisses me off worse than anything as far as social media and the way people don't listen, but they spend a lot of time talking. How about listen from now on? Jesus is not happy with you for doing that and putting that out there.
You're rushed to judgment.
You rush to judgment based on a comment.
Counter to the philosophy.
And I'm like, good God. So look, folks, just don't, if you can have your opinions, you don't have to listen to everything I say twice. Lord knows, I know sometimes I bounce all over the place, but don't put a comment out there judging me personally about something as important as my faith.
Or as personal.
Because I don't go to Wednesday night. We don't have a spaghetti supper, man. Trust me. I'd be all over that. The garlic bread was top. It was on time back in the day at First Baptist Church, Spartanburg.
Yes.
I'm
with you though. Tuesday sucks. It's the worst.
It does. Now,
around
Bobby
my house,
Patterson,
it is always number 7.
Yeah, it's just because it's not Monday when you've rested up on the weekend. It's not hump day. Thursdays, yeah. But Bobby Patterson comes back with a counter from Banana Sports chat box. So we can move Tuesday to 6 out of 7 now due to religious attacks. And Taco Tuesday is great. So he did point out Taco Tuesday. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's 6, but come on, man.
Well, who's bringing up the rear then?
What is the worst day of the week? I want to hear what people think. Is it Tuesday?
Right.
Was I wrong? You can debate that. If he just said, JC, you're an idiot. Tuesdays are great. That's fine. Don't sit there and talk to me about like needing Jesus and it's sad and everybody needs to get right with the Lord and talk about the Armageddon and the apocalypse and the book of Revelation and throw all that on me right now. Because I said that we don't have a spaghetti. Basically, I was talking good about going to church. I wish I could go to church on Wednesdays. I was saying Wednesday's a good day because I used to go to church. People go to church. So it's unbelievable, unfreaking believable. Some of the comments you read out there on social media these days. I tell everybody this, and most of you, a lot of you have been on message boards since before we were even able to do a show from our house and all the technology, even before there was a thing called Twitter and X. Twitter, X, Facebook, all that is like giving people the whole world a message board. Remember how it used to just kind of be a secret?
It is. And now it's policing itself. So it's like
everybody would like, everybody would even say, you know, that they didn't even know. People that weren't on the message board, they wouldn't know that. They'd call it chat rooms. I heard coaches say, what's going on in them chat rooms, you know, stuff like that. But now the whole world has a message board, which had I thought about this in 2005, number one, I wish I'd have developed the technology, quite frankly, because the Twitter's nothing complicated. Number two, besides all that, could you imagine instead of Mark Zuckerberg, it's me? Oh, God. We'd all be happy. We'd all have a Merry Christmas then. Gamecocks wouldn't have NIL problems at that point, probably.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Not that they do now. But, you know, I wish I'd have thought about it. But then number two, if you'd have told me society was going to have a message board, like the whole world, and I would have been afraid for the future.
Yes, very much.
And everybody's going to have a camera, and everybody's going to be able to post video. And it's basically, I don't know. But anyway, I didn't appreciate that at all. And look, I think you owe me an apology. You can apologize right there in the comments. You're not blocked or banned or anything. But if you don't want to apologize, then I don't want you to listen to my show anymore. Because I can't afford for people that don't understand and make crazy interpretations and put them out there publicly, because somebody that didn't read that didn't listen to the show, and there are many that just read the comments or miss that, they're going to think I talked bad about God or something. And, you know, like I'm some atheist hellion.
Right.
And that's not cool. That's not me. And if I was, fine. Shouldn't judge me anyway. I've read the Bible. I know what Jesus does and does not do. And Jesus does not make judgmental comments based on something innocuous. He's a little smarter than that. So I told him he could shove his comment in the holiest of holies, to use use a little bit of wording there. But anyway, I don't think it was anybody that's in the Nana Sports channel.
No, it's not. It was not on the live stream. So
it was not on the live stream. It was on Coffee today. And I just popped on there and I was like, oh, we got one of those bots that post Bible verses, and that's fine. I get it. But and I went there, but it said "Go Gamecocks" at the end. I was like, that's like it's one of our crew, man. Come on. Anyway. I mean, it's a very personal thing and all that, but I mean, I'm not afraid to tell anybody like what I believe, obviously. But man, don't sit there and try to label me over something that you're not smart enough to understand. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. So,
or didn't bother listening to the whole thing. That's the biggest issue. Was like, okay, here you are. You are the personal embodiment of a headline reader.
Just
who goes
heard that I used to go to church on Wednesdays as a child. Oh, well, God rest your soul.
And then
salvation is, come on, man. Hallelujah. Cam in the Nana Sports chat box says, Bruin. I'm not going to read this, Bruin, but
yes,
perchance, who knows?
He very well could have been.
He at least puts things in his real name. He doesn't have anything. Craig is like, all that being said, F him. So,
is he here?
Yeah. Yeah. Bobby said Wednesdays are definitely seventh. Now as worked up as they got you. All right. That's cool. Mm-hmm. All right. So this project, so it's another step, and my goodness, to be a state that is when you compare to the rest of the states like Illinois and California and places like that, it's supposed to be business friendly and easy to do things. In South Carolina, when you're doing something with the state, it takes a long, long time. This is taking way too long. Competitors, Tennessee announced their project afterwards, and I think they're moved shuffle and dirt now. So, but that's kind of when it became and I'm talking about the 1110 project. Which is the the first phase is reimagining Williams-Brice Stadium, and it's changed from what the original idea was a little bit. But first thing that's going to happen is Willie B is getting some upgrades and getting some things like luxury suites that increase revenue. South Carolina 16th out of 16. Once Vandy gets done with their little thing, 16th in the league as far as luxury suites. And while all of us are, rarely get to sit in them, probably never will have one. I think that they are what's called cash cows, because the markup on those things and the revenue they produce is insane. And that's what everybody's going. So there's going to be new suites, and it's going to, amazingly enough, Phil, start on the west side.
Yeah.
Where I think what they're going to do is West Club area, or they're going to kind of redo that or do something different. And I sat in West Club for the Missouri game, and there is a lot of room to do things back there. They have a kind of a club in the middle. So that's it. As far as that goes, it's going to be nice. They're going to do some things with the north end zone where the students are. And today's release said, they're going to do some limited things to update the student section. I think a party deck in the end zone, in the student section, I think they need to tear the Floyd building down. To be honest, just get rid of that. It's beyond, or make it into something useful,
Yeah.
But I think a party deck would be good there. A beer garden. Beer garden. Sparkle say beer garden. Not necessarily for students. I mean, because some of them are underage, obviously. But I think that they'll do something there in the end zone for the students, which will be cool. And eventually I think it'll be double decked to a certain extent. So they've got the architect, and apparently this is a world-renowned architect. Worked college clients have included Texas. I think the New York Yankees are another client that they've had, that they do things like this. So it's going to be nice. Jeremiah Donate had a lot of deals there with, it's a lot of, what was I going to say? What was I saying? I just completely lost my train of thought.
I did too.
That's what I
looked
get
at
for
the chat box, and
I was like, I saw this at the bottom, and from Kreger, and I'll answer
quickly answer your question. I was going to say, the answer is no, and we can talk about it in person.
Yeah, that's but no, not affiliated, There's no more of that, at least in a partnership. From a partnership standpoint, but that's all I'm going to say. Good people work for that thing. I'm not going to say anything else about it. That's all I got to say about that. But yeah, Craig, you distracted me, man. So I think West Side, the West Side's going to get some premium seating, because that's, when you go into a project like this, Phil, and everybody's talking about revenue. And when they first started talking about this, it was just NIL. There was no rev share, no lawsuit, nothing like that. But it's now a thing where every athletic department in the country is going to need $21 million extra a year.
Yeah, it's like Mike says. It was like you just got handed a $20 million invoice as an athletic department for all these schools.
And people don't know. It's not like you make generate athletics departments generate. Oh gosh, and this is an old number from South Carolina, but it was around 120 something million a year. And they spend about 124 of it. They're nonprofits essentially. So they don't, they're not for profit. They're not private. And so you sit there and spend what you bring in. That's kind of the point. There are some reserves that do take place, but they're very limited. And so it's important to increase revenue. Bobby asked a great question from the chat box. Are us normal people losing a lot of seating? I would say no. I don't think anybody will miss it, but it's always kind of a concern, just because you're in a this is kind of the second time this has happened. Last time it happened 20 years ago when Eric Hyman came to South Carolina. Mike McGee loved to make big splashes and go after big names in coaching and put together packages and recruit coaches, and he did a good job with that. He was probably about a B plus, A minus when it came to landing some big name coaches. I'll remind everybody, Holtz didn't have a job. Spurrier didn't have a job. Just like with Ray, Palmineri didn't have a job. That's a little easier than, hey, you're coaching at Notre Dame. Why don't you come coach us? But he did a good job. Went after almost had Tubby Smith, who was at Kentucky at the time, and Jim Calhoun in basketball when Fogler left. But was really good at that. Very bad at seeing the future as far as revenue, seeing the future as far as ticket prices, seating licenses. The facilities were god awful, not SEC standards. I mean, there were a lot of challenges that he left. Now, whose mindset did I like better? I sort of liked Mike McGee's better because I felt like Mike McGee wanted to win. I never, although teams that when Hyman was here, the teams won, I never felt like winning was at the top of the list, which it should be for everybody. Winning should be at the top of the list for everybody. You have other responsibilities, but winning is most important because winning fixes a lot of things.
I was going to say, winning makes all the other responsibilities easier to handle.
If you're not trying to win, what are you doing? And that's one thing I can say about Tanner. He wanted to win in everything across the board. But so Eric Hyman got here about 20 years ago. They did some reseeding. They started charging what's called a seating tax. Now here's what the problem was with that I think. It raised prices significantly, and especially over time. They kept going up and up and up. There was the seating tax. Well, I call it the purge of East Upper in one way, because it used to be, Phil, back during the Holtz era, the East Upper, a lot of people had season tickets up there. Like I sat up in East Upper. I was just had gotten out of college, poor college student, right? In 02. Right. I bought season tickets through USC Upstate in 02, and we sat East Upper toward the south side, kind of right above the visitors band. And then, man, there are people that, same people sat in the seats every game. Loved it. Had a great time. Fellowship. You go up there now, it's hit or miss in East Upper, especially in that end. And so that was kind of sad because some people got priced out, in my opinion. I still think that as we move forward and, we're having trouble filling seats, that a good idea may be to instead of making $0 off those seats, maybe you could make $30, right?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe you could get some cheap seats. That's why they call them the cheap seats, folks.
That's right.
Cheap season ticket practice. Yeah. Churchill says 505 was awesome during the Spurrier era. Yeah, man. I remember Churchill, and for Banana Sports chat box, I always think of Churchill's English pub at the Calendar Square. Churchill's English Pub Club. I remember, man, people used to call Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut, which, by the way, the iconic show. You can listen to it on the Chief Sports app. And be like, shout out, man. This is Bobby from 505 East Upper, and people would, that was kind of their deal. I had a good friend that sat in West Upper in her seats all the time and had some pride in it. And it priced a lot of those folks out, or they moved to another seat or upgraded or whatever. But, that kind of thing was sad. But it brought South Carolina into the 21st century. Got their financial situation squared away to where if you look around now and see, like if you blinked your eyes in 04 or 05 and then opened them back up now, it's night and day different.
Yeah.
I mean, Phil, it just, I sat there, Jamie Bradford, my wife and I, my stepson went to this happy hour under the zone the night before the Missouri game when we had gotten into town. And I just walked out there and took a minute and looked across at the practice facility and where they do Gamecock Walk and all that. That used to be the farmer's market.
Right.
It was a little unsightly. There was a Bojangles on the corner there that moved across the street. And that's where the tailgate shows set up, the Bojangles. It was famous. And looked around and I was like, man, how far has this place come in 20 years? And it's because they brought the revenue up to, and to make an omelet, you got to crack some eggs. Not everybody was happy with it. There were some people that sued and all that good stuff.
Hmm.
But that happened. And so this is going to be I don't think it's going to feel that dramatic because it's not going to affect everybody.
Right.
But I do think there'll be some folks displaced. There's going to be probably some price changes on the seats. I do think that folks that opt to not repurchase at the higher price will be given every opportunity to get good seats that they at an equitable price, and all that from what I've read and what I've heard. So I don't think it's going to affect them too bad. I think what it will do is bring money in almost right away when they get them finished, because South Carolina has a big waiting list on these things.
Yeah.
You kind of wonder, you're like, well, how are we going to sell them? And, you build something and you want to sell. Well, there's a waiting list. So many of them will have already been sold at a premium price.
It would be different if you were rolling the dice, right? And be like, well, if we build it, they will come. The problem is they want to come and they're willing to spend big money to get there. So you don't have a demand shortage right now. Currently, South Carolina enjoys a supply shortage when it comes to luxury offerings in stadium.
Yeah.
And and it's not, it is going to help offset some of the increased burdens that are being put on the university with the $20 million rev share and all of that. Obviously you're an SEC school, so you're getting a ton of money from your media partners through that deal. But the more you have to lay out, the more you need to bring in.
Well, and I'll add this, Phil, too. So revenue share, the thing with the actual dollars, and really it's going to be a bookkeeping thing.
Yeah.
Because what you can the rule is, the hard and fast rule, can't come from donor money. So in other words, you can't have, if you're A&M, an oil man covering that 20 million every year, right? That must be nice if you can cover 20 million a year.
Right. Well,
but so that if you're, or keeps a bunch of oil men from pooling their money or whatever, that in theory. But what you do is you just, out of your other revenue, you pay the 20, and then the oil man, he builds the buildings and does all the traditional stuff. It's really not that big of a deal. But what this also does, though, is if you're South Carolina, this money, or a school that doesn't have oil men, right. So where you're like 20 million, we may have to sacrifice some things. So what this does is because this money can be used because it's ticket money, essentially. Anything that touches the players, tickets, television broadcasts, gear sales, all that good, anything that touches them, that's part of the rev share. And so this goes right into those coffers, and that'll be good. It'll give South Carolina a little jolt. Then this is not the end. This is merely the early beginning of Williams-Brice Stadium. Eventually, there's going to be some significant changes to the east side, which is what we talked about, and the north end, and the scoreboard, and everything else. I don't think South Carolina will spend $26 million on a scoreboard like Auburn, and then say, "Well, we're not going to build that
at the detriment of the basketballs."
Yeah, we got the number. Auburn's like, "Well, War Eagle, Yellowwood, we got the number one basketball team in the country. Let's nix that basketball practice facility."
Well, we obviously don't need it. We're good enough.
We got that scoreboard over there, Jordan Hare. How's you and his boys doing? Anyway, oh wow, but so anyway, Churchill James. I'm going to call James Churchill from now on because
I like it.
I like Churchill because it's easy, and there's more James probably in the chat box.
Yeah.
He says, I was tailgating right after the game at Gamecock Village was added. Right after Gamecock Village was added, and there was a Florida fan who hadn't been up to Carolina in 15 years, and he said he thought he was lost. Yeah. I mean, that's the deal. And Churchill comes in again. I'm hoping my half scholarship level will allow me to purchase these nice levels. Currently, I'm not eligible to purchase club level. Half is now $900 a year alone. What would half scholarship used to be? $250? $500?
I thought it was around $500. I might have been wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll do a when I move back. We'll get with my brother Cam and come up with a nice solution for all of us.
Yes.
with tickets, because
Figure
I'm just
something out.
about getting over purchasing them on the secondary market after what I paid for those Missouri tickets last year. Hope says, I love working the games as I've done the past 3 years. I talk to visiting fans every game. They're absolutely blown away by our stadium and all the pregame show 2001 at Sandstorm. Yeah, the production at Williams-Brice is next level compared to anywhere.
Yeah, second to none, really.
Yeah, it's like I said. I think Justin King and his group have almost personified the stadium. In other words, the stadium's almost an organic thing with how you experience it now.
It's like if you're a film buff, right, and you'll have to excuse the reference for the Me Too movement or whatever, but like Woody Allen and his use of the city of New York, it's very similar to that. Like his films personify the heartbeat of the Big Apple, right? So that's kind of like what it is in stadium, and that the stadium itself is a living, breathing piece of this moment.
And I'll tell you what, Phil, and that's awesome. Not bad for a place. Clemson fans used to like beat it up. It's a concrete jungle. It's a concrete jungle. It's in a bad neighborhood. It's just a big upside down
industrial neighborhood. Right.
I mean, some of the criticism of the stadium was right. It's always been Gamecock fans have always been great, but even Coach Spurrier came there. It's like nothing in here is garnet or black.
Right.
If you didn't look at the scoreboard that said University of South Carolina and type across the bottom in black font outlined by white, blended in, you wouldn't even know the Gamecocks played there. So he immediately added some temporary signs, and then they painted the ribbons, and then they got the new scoreboard. And now you look at it and it's like, well, the Gamecocks play here. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's always needed something like that. And so, and Justin King, I can't say enough after sitting through that Missouri game and really experiencing Phil with my stepson, just how different it is and how awesome it is. And, what kind of a job's been done with it. And this is going to take it to the next level, obviously from a monetization standpoint and all that. Krager adds in, and then we'll head to a break. I'll empty out the chat box. So Billy Bob Thornton can't foot the entire bill. To answer that correctly, Krager, I would have to do a spoiler for the first season of Landman. I can't.
Well, don't yet. I'm only like 3 episodes in.
Churchill says, all my friends call me Churchill.
Oh, there you go.
And of course, half scholarship was 600 a few years ago. Yeah, I remember it being around that. Churchill says, so far I've gone to 4 road venues, and Williams-Brice Stadium blows all 4 of those away, including Oklahoma and Bama.
Yeah,
have you been to LSU?
Yeah, that would be fun. Although,
LSU is fun. It's crazy, but it's fun. But again, LSU kind of, these things at other schools have developed through the years. I mean, decades. South Carolina's is relatively new, and I think optimized more for the modern era, which is good. See, so if you ever find a silver lining in this program, never finding its footing and switching up and having very little tradition, if you ever find a silver lining for that, it's that there's essentially a blank slate for things like we just talked about to happen with the stadium coming alive and all that. All of a sudden, this is a whole lot more modern than whatever they do everywhere else. Craig's never seen a Woody Allen film. This is
no surprise.
Craig's got a list. We got to come up with a list for Craig
too.
But in fairness to him, look at his avatar there. It's a record player.
Craig's I know. Craig's a music guy.
Craig's
a music guy. Yeah. So, you can't fault him for his lack of movie knowledge for sure. Yeah, because
he
probably blow us all away.
Did y'all see the university playing the game in this new college football era so well? I feel like the other overall presumption was that we'd float further to the bottom of the SEC when money is on the table. I'm impressed. And then we're going to get to a break. Rust, that's from Rust Boy in the Nano Sports chat box. I was concerned. You folks want to know, why did JC, living out of state, get a wild hair up his butt and start a collective? Because I was really concerned. Right. And what I was concerned about the most is all of y'all, the fans, because I didn't think anybody was doing a good enough job stressing this. I didn't think anybody was doing a good enough job to kind of get it out there. And this is before Garnet Trust became what it is now. It had just kind of gotten started and was kind of a different deal. And so I've always believed that South Carolina had it in them to do it. And that includes the leadership and everything. But I did feel like there would be some bumps in the road. The good thing is the bumps in the road were kind of like 2 or 3 years ago. And yes, basketball needs more NIL money. But guess what? Everything else pretty good, you know. And as we move into the future, I don't think you can say enough about how I don't like the word progressive. I don't like the word conservative either. If you guys are thinking I'm getting political, but how like forward thinking a lot of the ideas are. And it's like Steve Spurrier said when he got to South Carolina, he said, we got to make this the cool place to play. Yeah. And that's been a process through time, you know, because that's everything. And now South Carolina is a really cool place to play. You look at the kids that are interested from across the country, and there's a lot that have gone into that. All right, we got to hit a break here on Inside the Gamecocks The Show. First break of the first hour. 247Sports has released their transfer portal rankings. These don't mean much. I've told y'all, just like South Carolina making the adjustment, you know, the transfer portal rankings have to make an adjustment and catch up, but it's relevant because the Gamecocks it's probably going to affect the team ranking because there's a lot of them that are ranked in the top 285, 300. I want to let you guys know before we get out of here, brought to you by Resto Pro of the Midlands. If you have anything that happens at the house, I remember when I was a kid and going to church on Wednesdays, Phil, our hot water heater overflowed or had a leak, and we had parquet floors, and they buckled. And we had to call some other people, and they were terrible. I remember Dad cussed them out. Not at Resto Pros of the Midlands, though. They'll help you out with anything like that, fire, water, whatever. They're a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show, and also our weekly chat with John Whittle of thebigspur.com. The Inside the Gamecocks, the show will come right back after these messages.
Hey, this is Cornbread Cowboy, and you're listening to the show. We'll be right back.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more. Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, and Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products and out-of-state locations. Go Gamecocks! Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com, thebarndominiumco.com.
Mike here for one of the better dining options in the capital city. You know, when I first moved there, I asked people around the radio station, where are the best wings? Well, the consensus was D's Wings. That was then. Today, they still have the best wings, but it's so much more. Now in their new location at 415 Meeting Street in West Columbia, yeah, they get voted the best wings on a routine basis. Yes, they get voted the best sports bar on a routine basis, but they're not just about wings, and really, they're not just a sports bar. It is a family-run local restaurant and bar with 20 TVs and 25 beers on tap. app. And how about these daily specials? Every Monday night at D's, you've got 75-cent wings from 4 until closing. Tacos on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, 18 wings and a pitcher of beer for $29. You've also got ribs and oyster bucket specials on Thursday. And no matter how big the party is, 20 or more, no problem. Just call ahead of time and they'll take terrific care of you. They'll do takeout as well. And guess what? A human will answer the phone and take the order. Billy and his staff do an outstanding job. Check out D's, 415 Meeting Street in West Columbia.
Welcome back, everybody, inside the Gamecocks The Show. It is the second segment of the show. Kind of shifting gears here. JC and Phil in with you to get you through your lunch break.
Yes. Happy lunch, everyone.
That's right.
Should we start saying that in this country? Happy lunch.
Happy lunch.
Happy lunch.
Happy lunch to you.
That sounds like Flemish or
let's
Dutch
not.
or something. Happy lunch, Phil.
No, that's right. We would turn it into Merry. It needs to be Merry lunch.
Merry lunch, Phil.
Merry lunch.
What if like everything was the same, but people said Merry lunch and they said it exactly like that, but everything else was normal? Like, oh yeah, okay, Rick, I think I'm gonna go. We're going to Chili's, me and Dan, and we'll hash it out. And looking forward to the meeting this afternoon. All right, Bob, that's cool. Merry lunch to you,
Merry
Bob.
lunch.
And, it's out of nowhere. Merry lunch.
And a merry lunch to you, sir.
That's almost as jarring as like somebody snorts in the middle of their conversation. Like, yeah, and you're like, whoa. You ever met somebody like that, a snorter?
Yeah, like a teenager. They
I'm
make the
not
weirdest
saying
noises. I don't know what.
Never snorted when I've been talking before. There's a couple times in my life. I think
maybe a good solid belly laugh or something.
There are people
one in there, but
snort.
Yeah,
like fucking. I mean, like snort bad. Excuse me. Oh man,
that's all right. Yeah, we're all right.
Jesus doesn't love me anymore.
That's right. It's over.
Oh my God.
Maybe they're right.
That's it. They're right, guys. Oh my gosh.
He doesn't want you for a Sunday.
Now you know that Phil and I, about how mine and Phil's conversations go, like when we're off the air. All right, anyway, let's get on the topic. Forget that happened. My gosh.
Well, I forgot what we were going to talk about.
Oh,
24/7 updated portal rankings. That's right.
Yeah.
Place no stock into any of this because the system is flawed.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a nice range. In South Carolina had some guys that were good. So the top ranked player in the portal is Rasul Faison, the running back. He's number 47 for South Carolina overall, like for South Carolina. Jalen Brown, the DN from Missouri, 69. Never mind. I was thinking about Billy Madison.
I know, right? Yeah, right.
73 is Brandon Cisse. 145th, Gabriel Brownlow Dindy. 165th, Rodney Newsom Jr. So I don't know, like just looking at him on film and researching him, that Newsom would be, I probably would have him third out of just in my opinion, out of the offensive lineman, but somebody thinks he's really good. He's real athletic. I know that. 224 and still a 3-star is Justin Okoronkwo. Now there's a divide there. And so I'm a little cautious, or it gave me pause, Phil, based on kind of the feedback I've gotten from the South Carolina end, which there is a strong opinion he's going to start, and not only start, but thrive. Like if you're looking for who's going to replace Demetrius Knight Jr., Justin's at the top of that list. And then like kind of what people that, with the evaluations think of him. He was a 4-star out of high school, was only at Bama a year, played Bama. People were happy with him, etc. But then he drops. And I don't know whether that's the assumption that he's from another country and he's going to take longer or what. I don't know. I kind of don't know like what the thought process is there with him, but he is in the top 300 or whatever, just 224. Boaz Stanley, who I also would project as the starting center right now, is 276. Good to see somebody recognizing Sneaky Boaz.
Sneaky Boaz.
I call him Sneaky Boaz because he just kind of snuck in and committed, and nobody knew about it.
Yeah, Strick knows his high school coach very
Yeah,
well. And
I was on the show that day.
speaks
He said he
very
was
highly
really
of
good.
him. Mhm.
I like him. I think he's perfect for what they need at center. And then 278's Miles Norwood. So a good group. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, because I'm a big D line guy, and Jalen Brown are the two most intriguing to me. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy at least helps the blue chip ratio.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Because they still use the high school ranking. So he's a 5-star.
They picked up 6 4-stars.
Yeah.
For what that's worth,
Yeah.
I don't know. The number I like to look at is that the average player rating, right?
Yeah.
So what Carolina comes in 14 in the official rankings, if you will, but comes in at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in average player ranking, just out 88.69. Because it doesn't weigh how many commits, things of that nature. That's why I look at that. It was like, what's the quality of player overall you're getting? And I find that to be a fairly decent measurement. Like look at Ohio State. Ohio State is 36th in transfer portal rankings for 25, right? And you think, oh, Ohio State, but it's only 6 players, and they almost grade out at a 90. So you can kind of see, what quality options you're getting.
Yeah. So the 14th ranked portal class. One thing that you look at, you mentioned the smaller classes. LSU high on quality.
Yeah, both high on quality, and
Oregon only had 9, and Miami was at 11. I think you could take whatever Miami ranks in recruiting class wise and just ball it up in the trash.
You have to have an adjustment factor.
They're always
it all by 0.8.
South Carolina with 13, so A&M had 14. They were a little higher. North Carolina's ahead, but 18. Mississippi State 24. So some of these classes that are large, obviously they rank them in, and that's the transfer class. I think overall, South Carolina's class, which is better than I thought. Like if you include portal and high school, it finished 21st, which is around where it finished last year. But if you just do the recruits, the high school recruits, and they finalized those rankings recently, the Gamecocks are 18th. They're, less than 3 points behind Oklahoma as far as average player ranking goes. There is, about a 4-point gap. It goes Ole Miss 16, Oklahoma 17, South Carolina 18. But I'll say this, you can always look at, there's like some teams that could be ranked high in recruiting, and there's some teams that never are, and that means diddly poo when it comes to winning and losing on the football field. Right. At times, what you want to do is look at it as overtime. Where are you at? And then nowadays, Phil, and we were talking on JC and Morgan with Tom Luganville about this earlier today. How do you retain them? How do you keep them? Which is, I look at these rankings and for so long you look and you go, well, Carolina's got a top 20 class, but they're 11th in the SEC or 10th in the SEC or whatever. But, these teams are ahead of them or whatever. And most of the time, you look and, well, I don't like Alabama's class at all because there's a bunch of California kids in it, and I think those guys are not going to stay. And I don't know that they would have stayed or worked out had we been under the old rules. Texas obviously brings in a lot of players every year. They're 1, Georgia as well 2. Auburn had a resurgent year 4. Florida did as well 5. A&M about like they always do. LSU about like they always do, but they have a really good portal class. Tennessee again did really well in North Carolina with David Sanders and Isaiah Campbell. Woo.
Right. Yeah.
Really good job by Tennessee there. So to me, Tennessee's class is better than Alabama's and will make more of an impact if they can hold on to them. Ole Miss actually had a really good, top of their high school class. Oklahoma's class was small, et cetera, et cetera. So you going down the list. But, what we're talking about today, and this is why I think Gamecock fans should be cautiously excited about what's happened so far, is that Beamer does a good job of keeping guys in the program, and they also do a good job. So in other words, Phil, like, you bring in like Nick Emanware, right?
Mhm.
Carolina signed him, kind of an in-state sleeper, 3-star guy. I think we all knew he had a lot of upside, but it wasn't just upside. He wasn't some project. He gets there and starts as a freshman. He's that good.
Yeah.
He's just good.
Say, yeah. He
He's
hit the
just
field
better.
early.
and that's one of the things where COVID kind of worked out in their favor, because he didn't have a chance to go camp or visit a lot of places. And so they got him in and he stayed at home. But your 5-star safety that signed with whoever that year, that hit the portal after a year because he's not playing, and then maybe gets in trouble at the next school, it goes to 3 different schools, on signing day, that 5-star safety is going to make that class look really good. But what does it mean when they leave and you can keep these guys? So some of these guys, and I want to point this out about this class, number one, even if you look at just the rankings, this class ended up being a lot better than people expected. And Clint in the Nano Sports chat box can probably back me up on this, because we talked about it before the season. When Taylor Edwards left, the Gamecocks kind of lost some momentum on the trail, all that good stuff. When that happened, and then you look at it, and it's an in-state heavy class, out of the 26 guys, they signed 12 South Carolinians. And we know those guys are, sometimes underrated. And so, then they missed on some players. You had a guy from Virginia decommit and go elsewhere that was a big-time corner prospect and stuff. But you kind of look and you go, well, Josh Smith, Pup Sellers, Lenoris's brother, Trayshawn Austin, DeMarcus Leach, Cutter Woods, Anthony Addison, Jaquel Hallman, Cedric Surratt, all in-state guys. You have a chance. And those guys are ranked anywhere, Phil, from Jaquavius Dodd. They're ranked from between 3 and 4 stars, low 4-star, high 3-star. In South Carolina, you could look at the Gamecocks draft this year and see a slew of players like that are not ranked 4 stars or ranked low 4 stars. And you've seen them at Clemson and Carolina both. I mean, Mike Williams and Ben Boulware are pretty good players for Clemson.
Right.
National championship wise. Mike Williams, especially, 1st-round draft pick, low 4-star. Ben Boulware, low 4-star. All those cats, Tankersley and those guys that started in their defensive backfield, 3 stars from in-state. Yeah. It's just South Carolina kids. South Carolina's got good players that are better than their ranking to start with, and then you develop them and they stay. So I don't know that, when you start talking about five players a year that are going to bounce out or peace out at other schools, those are the ones, those 5 players that are all in the top 100 that boost their class up in the rankings. So over a period of 4 years, that's 20 players, right? That they're going to cut out that were highly ranked. And then you've got 20 players over 4 years that are from your state that are ballers that you've developed and sent into the NFL. So over time, over a period of time, you will have a roster to compete. I'm not saying super roster, super team, Ohio State level this year, anything like that. I'm saying that you can compete that way. So it's almost smart. Bruin says, apparently you're not allowed to use the word Super Bowl talking about the game. NFL strict on that. You must say the big game. In advertising and stuff, that's true.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm saying Super. We're in
I can say Super Bowl. That's
Super
right.
Bowl,
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl,
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Bobby, my little slip up earlier, he says I better find a Wednesday spaghetti surface.
He's worried about your soul, JC.
Krager says I was really worried about this class 6 months ago. Yeah, I mean, I kind of, I even said it on the Big Spur. I was like, this class sort of is what it is. It's an in-state class. It reminds me sort of some of Spurrier's earlier classes that were better than people thought, but it's heavy in-state. Hey, get what you can. Hope these guys turn out and on the 26 for the top players for 2026. We're going to be in this class. And then you kind of dig around and find out there were good players they had committed. And then they went out and got good players late, like Christian out of Georgia, like the offensive tackle from Georgia Tech. And and our guy Christian Ingram. So, yeah, it ended up being a good class. And then these guys go to all-star games and it stock up. And so it worked that way. This class up in 2026, South Carolina will have higher rated guys, and then they'll go to all-star games or whatever and drop. That's how it works out.
Right. Yeah.
That's how it works out.
Does
All
the
right,
star rating change once it's locked in? Real quick before we go to break, does the star rating change at all? Like once you're a 3-star, you're always a 3-star, even
No,
if you
it
hit the
changes.
transfer portal, it does adjust. Okay.
No. With the transfer portal right now, what they do is they give a new transfer ranking, like it's new. The problem is, and this is kind of a thing, is like, you know, if you got a guy that's in the portal, and when I was having these discussions, the player that people brought up was Dante Cook, the second left tackle, went to Washington, hit the portal again because he got kicked off the team. News today, he was just arrested in Fort Worth for property theft. So, you know, you don't want to quite give up on him yet. He's going to, how do you, but you don't know if he's going to make it. So there's a lot of different, it almost needs to be 2 different rankings, but they do assign right now a new transfer portal ranking. I do think there is a little bit of holding on to that recruiting ranking because nobody wants to be wrong. But I think as time rolls on, you're going to see a system that makes a lot more sense. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. All right. Inside the Gamecocks The Show rolls on, second hour. Boy, this goes fast, Phil.
Yeah, man.
This format fast.
Mm-hmm.
Want to remind everybody, Nana's Porch has a fresh batch of pimento cheese at nanasporch.com to order it from our boy Chris. He's, you know, obviously the sponsor of the Nana's Porch Chat Box. And it's the best pimento cheese you will ever have if you like pimento cheese. JC Shurburtt, Phil Mullinax rolling on with the second hour on, I guess now the 6th ranked day of the week, Tuesday. We'll be back after these messages.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Hey Gamecock Nation, my name is Kyle, longtime listener of the show and avid golfer. I wanted to take my game to the next level, but let's face it, golf is a hard game to learn on your own. I heard the ad from McKellar Enterprises and reached out to the owner and former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. In just 2 months of working with Meredith, I shot my lowest round ever and I've never felt more confident in my golf game. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, go to McKellarEnterprises.org and book your lesson today with former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. Go Gamecocks.
Think about that old ride of yours. The carpools, the road trips, the heavy hauls, date nights, and the dings and the dents and sticky spills and cracker crumbs, and that smell that really never goes away. Do you really want to start the new year in the same old ride? Or is it time for a fresh start? Now's the time for incredible New Year's savings at Love Chevrolet on the entire lineup of award-winning vehicles. Love has more new Chevys on the lot than any other dealer in the Midlands in the color, style, features you've been looking for. With New Year's savings and Love's famous low price guarantee, your new ride in 25 will be invigorating, exhilarating, and affordable too. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and online at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Welcome back. This is Inside the Gamecocks The Show, second hour of the show, firing up for you here on a terrible Tuesday. Not that it's so much terrible, it's just that, Tuesday, not necessarily the best day of the week. And I won't hear any different. And I will not change my mind. It is bad.
What?
Tuesday. I'm not coming off of this. It's big. Like, it's both something like my wife also is of the same mind. That Tuesday.
Oh, I knew she would.
Yeah,
that sounded like a
Tuesday.
conversation the three of us would have.
Yes, right.
So,
for sure. Yeah.
And,
I don't get all the hate for Monday though, because I like the transition to getting back in the groove. Like as I get older, I appreciate routine more, right, JC? So it's like the weekend is kind of like the big bump in the road of the week. Not that I don't appreciate what the weekend offers. Don't get me wrong. But I don't mind Monday so bad.
Work wise, I'll just work on through the weekend if I need to.
Yeah, I mean,
although I'm gonna go have some fun this weekend. We have our annual Super Bowl party on Sunday night at the tavern. So coffee will be pre-taped. I'm not dragging my butt up at like 4:30.
I'm gonna put an evergreen coffee together this week.
Well, I mean, it's. I usually am just talking big picture stuff anyway, but I'll make sure it's a good one. But it's not live. There's a reason why that thing getting live, because I'm a morning person until I'm not, right?
Oh yeah.
So but
I used to be a morning person, and then I take a medication now that makes me not that way, and I find it very frustrating.
I take a medication that does, Phil.
I could probably do that, but then I'm like, well, how many damn pills are you gonna put in?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I don't take too many. Back to what Rust Boy said earlier about the university playing the game in college football so well. And I mentioned that when I started collecting, I said I was worried about all of you. And I wanted to clarify that, i.e. the fans. I wasn't worried that you guys wouldn't step up for NIL or anything. I wanted to make sure that wasn't – I was thinking about that during the break. I was worried about you because I know you love the Gamecocks. And I know you'd be excited about things moving forward if there was not a lot of awareness about it. And then you would be very disappointed. And so it was really just a personal thing. I was like, I don't want my people sad. And believing that they couldn't compete. And honestly, a lot of people took that approach. Some still do. They post on the Big Spur, a few of them.
And I kind of looked at it like from the university standpoint. I mean, you were fortunate that because a lot of the narratives coming out and as things were starting to change, the transfer portal, the NIL front is, South Carolina's just got an old baseball coach as an athletic director. And, a very forward thinking and willing to adapt and adjust Ray Tanner is what emerged to allow South Carolina and help enable South Carolina to, stay ahead of the game and be farther ahead at this point than some of the peer institutions in conference even.
Yeah. And look, I'll take this because, there's some schools out there that when NIL started, Phil, they were like major Arkansas was one of them. They had all this money and they went out and in basketball, they obviously put some money behind Coach Cal. Hats off to him for winning at Rupp. But that's about all he's done.
I mean, yeah, right.
But in football, they really don't have. I mean, Hunter Yurachek has said it in person. And what happened was they put all this money in and then they didn't really have the year they wanted. And everybody's like, well, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And so at the time, you're like, oh, Carolina doesn't have as much as Arkansas, blah, blah, blah. That's going to be a problem. But I will take what Carolina, because Carolina got through it, right? Even the 5-7 2023 year. If they'd had a little more NIL money that year, could they have had a little more depth, especially at running back? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that cause that season to tank? No, it was injuries. It was that's what caused the 5-7. And then with a little more NIL, they put together a team that contends for a college football playoff berth and an SEC championship, if we're being honest, because I've done the tiebreakers and they would have been in Atlanta had they won one more game.
One loss.
They beat Clemson again, and then now it's up to the same as everybody with rev share and some of the moves behind the scenes Ray Tanner and his staff made. Plus, I got to say the state law. People want to know why Missouri's all of a sudden good at NIL. It's because they changed the state law there.
Missouri enabled high school NIL, did they not? If I remember right, they were one of the
That's
states that went all in. Yeah, I'm not real big on that.
Slippery.
But,
I don't think Carolina's doing that much, but so we'll see. But Clint, who loves recruiting as much as anybody, he said, I remember we were sitting on one commitment for quite a while, Jaden Sellers, and he's like, I'm really excited about the potential of the 2026 class. Yeah. I like it. I like where your head's at. I've always kind of pointed toward this class, even under normal circumstances, because there's so many players in state. But and obviously, Carolina's ahead because they got 2 of them already in school.
Right.
Well, Donovan Murph's not there yet, but they got 2 of them already in the boat. So it's exciting to think about. But my concern about the fans and the reason I kind of sprung into action was I said, I'm going to do everything I can with the platform I have, which is significant, not super, but significant, to kind of just spread the word and get everybody together on this. Cause believe it or not, I've done this almost 20 years with South Carolina with Gamecock fans. Y'all are my people. I don't want to see, trust me, I don't want to see you hurt, upset, lose passion. Braveheart quote of the day: all men lose faith, all betray, all lose heart. I don't want to lose faith. I want to believe. My regret dies with you. Clint says one of my coffee shows next week should be on 2026 quarterback prospects. You never know. It may be sooner than next week. I may have had that on the list.
Who knows?
Today I did running back battle. And the answer to that question is who's going to start at running back? I don't know. I'd be fine with any of them. I think they're all. I said if I put odds on it, I think Jawarn Howell would probably have the best odds, but Attaway would be right behind him and Faison right behind him. It's close. Yeah. Fuller has a longer way to go, not from a talent standpoint, but he's younger and doesn't have the experience that the others do as far as playing. But boy, go look at the picture. Go look at his profile on the Big Spur. Go through the photo gallery. Look at his practice photos. That guy is built like a brick poop house.
The mold, right? Yeah,
unbelievable, Phil. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the school of thought this morning when they were discussing it was, we're going to see a little bit of all of them, more than likely. We don't know necessarily who's going to be the starter or the guy that comes out first, but between the varying skill sets of the 4 primary ones, you should see maybe
usually that's like coach's preference though, Phil. Like some coaches don't want to, it's hard to play 4, and I've only seen it done here once, and that was in 2004 with Strickland. When Strickland was on the team, and they went up.
Right.
I think Dacus Turman, Andrea Galls was a running back that year for whatever reason. Demetrius Summers, Corey Boyd. And then there was a 5th one, and they Lou Holtz literally rolled 4 and 5 into the game, and they all had 4 or 5 carries. And Savell Newton came in at quarterback and ran it. So Spurrier really preferred to use 2 his whole time. Will Muschamp, Bobby Bentley preferred 2, sometimes 3, and he caught crap because. Why are they playing Mon Denson and AJ Thurner and all this? Well, because every Rico Dowdle and Tyson Williams kept getting hurt.
Yeah, right.
They can never stay healthy.
Were injured.
And that happened in 2011, if you remember, Phil. Brandon Wiles was like 15, and they ended up starting and playing well down the stretch. But I also saw it. I said this on Coffee, so I don't want to keep rolling with it. But Todd Monken at Georgia did a great job. Their national championship years of playing 4, and you could not, because the problem is if you have different style of backs and you're like, okay, well, they just put the guy with hands in the game. It's going to be a screen or a pass. Well, they put the guy that's, one guy's clearly a better pass blocker. They're going to pass. I compared it to a buffet of entrees. And there's one entree that's tasty, and the rest are made of dog feces, but they look pretty. And the job of an offense is to be kind of like that buffet manager, which I did at Quincy's when I was in high school.
Yeah, to get them to bite the fake,
to get them to make them all look delicious, right?
Yes.
And so it's a tell if you do that. So, but Todd Monken did. I've never seen anything like it because Zamir White and all the other guys, they were all different, right? In little subtle ways, and they all did things better. But you could never tell like what they were doing when, right?
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they're going to be able to play 4. I don't know that I necessarily agree it'll be that many by committee. I think they'll go with 2 and then maybe a third every now and then.
Yeah, I was trying to recall, like if I remember Shula's days at the Panthers, didn't they used to run through 2? Wasn't that his thing there?
Yeah, most NFL teams do that. Dude.
Yeah. And I don't know
McCaffrey.
I don't.
Was McCaffrey, and then I'm not a Panthers fan. So who besides was up?
I thought he was during like the Jonathan Stewart era.
Right.
I know, y'all, come on, y'all Charlotte fans are out there. I know you.
Yeah, we got some.
Let us know. But I don't know what he did at Alabama so much. I mean, I know he's the head coach as opposed
they didn't have a quarterback in Alabama.
An offense. So well, yeah, that's different.
I have no idea. But yes, that's going to be interesting. But you can catch Coffee. It's on YouTube. By the way, subscribe to our YouTube channel just to remind everybody that helps us, and many of you have.
That's right.
Ginevra Carr just scheduled an official visit. He says, I think he's ours if we push for him. So we'll see what happens there. Also, Anna Hickey says, or sorry, she's not Anna Hickey anymore. Anna Adams from 247 Sports says that Aiden Harris, the four-star D tackle from Charlotte, whose brother's also a Division I prospect, he is expected to visit within the next month. That will be an unofficial, but South Carolina's making some progress there. She's got a crystal ball in for Ohio State for him, but I'm not so sure that's going to stick. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I think the Gamecocks have made based on kind of what I've been told, a big move. You never know because it's North Carolina and it's players and all that. But speaking of North Carolina, Phil, I do think that we're kind of it was Jonathan Stewart and Williams.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't McCaffrey yet.
No, not yet. McCaffrey came, I think, after Shula's time, and
I don't know anything about the Panthers, dude.
I don't know much either, other than the whole dust up over the past week with Cam Newton being vocal about visiting there and not having his name up on the stadium on the inside, even though he was the most prolific quarterback to ever go through the organization.
Unbelievable, right?
I know.
Yeah. So the Gamecocks have 26 offers out in North Carolina. Speaking of Charlotte, in North Carolina. Some of these guys are probably verbal offers early. Some of them are, guys that I think the Gamecocks could land. Some are camp guys. Some are not coming to South Carolina. But you sort of look at that D-line class, man, and shoot, I'm looking at 5 players with offers from the Gamecocks, including Rodney Dunham, the 9th-ranked player in the country from Myers Park in Charlotte. And then Aiden Harris. I would love to get an updated weight on him. I don't think he's 240 anymore. He's built like Tonka Hemingway was out of high school. But then Noah Clark from Durham, Jordan, Travian Robertson was up there. There is a player from Winston-Salem named Ben Boulware.
Relation?
No, none.
No relation.
That's South Carolina has done a good job there. Keyshawn Stansel from Clayton, North Carolina is another one. Andrew Harris is Aiden's brother. He's in that mix too. And then the ends, like I mentioned, are all pretty good. So I think when you look, people ask what's the biggest need in this class. I got to still go with D tackle because those numbers, aren't really there, right? Yeah. with young up and coming D tackles. So I think that's very important. And a lot of them are in that state. Now they got some from elsewhere too. I think they'll probably sign 3 or 4 high school guys. I would be happy if they signed 4 high school guys at D tackle. And then maybe they'll have to go in the portal again for more next year. Who knows? Yeah. So I apologize for that, Carolina Panthers. So I'm sorry for messing up your Panther party. Right? It's a close quote, Forrest Gump.
That's all right. You're not doing any worse than David Tepper is messing up the Panther
wow.
party.
So Jennifer Carr is okay. He's 6'4", 336, offensive lineman. Has an official visit scheduled to South Carolina for the 20th 3-star guy by 247Sports, 4-star per composite. Was at Trinity Catholic. Do we know who went to Trinity Catholic, Phil?
Oh, I don't. I mean, I probably do, but you'd have to remind me.
Antonio Allen.
Okay, so yeah, I do.
Deion LaCorn.
Yeah.
And former Florida quarterback John Brantley. And Kerwin Bell coached at Trinity Catholic.
Kerwin, all right, yeah.
Kerwin Bell, yeah. I went and watched them play at what was then Joe Robbie Stadium. Before they remodeled it in the state championship. They played Pahokee. Pahokee beat the snot out of those guys. But it was for like the 1A Florida State Championship. That was an awesome trip going down to South Florida for that. But I remember watching them that year. That was the class of 07 when Carolina signed a big time class rankings wise and stuff. But Antonio Allen was on that team. And I think it's been since then, since I think Carolina's gotten a player out of that school at Ocala, Florida. But he's now at IMG Academy.
Oh.
So originally, he's at IMG in Bradenton. I don't know that South Carolina's ever gotten anybody at IMG.
I was going to say that doesn't bode well, at least historically, because I don't think IMG's ever had a guy come up here. So
but this is another really big kid. You got Baxter, who's in the class, he's 330, and then all these guys from in-state are big too, like 320. Are big dudes.
Yeah.
So Clint says he thinks he had about 5 official visits scheduled today. I can go through the ones, Clint, without messing up the flow and rhythm of the show. I can go through the ones that are that are updated in the database, and Hale and those guys usually do a good job of that. So I'm pretty sure they've been updated, but I can go through all that with you guys. But yeah, this is the time of year everybody starts to set those June officials. And then ideally, like in the case of Aiden Harris, Phil, you want to get them back. Like, ideally, if you're trying to nail down a guy like Aiden Harris with all these offers, you want to bring him back in March for a spring practice. You want him to come to the spring game in April and then get ready for his official. And then during the contact period, you're going to see him. I have a good feeling about him based on the feedback, like just kind of the things he says and stuff. So we'll see ultimately what happens. But he's got a brother too. So there's 2. Now, his brother's listed 6'2", 235 on 247. Probably could use an updated weight on that guy as well. I need to go searching for that. So, okay, are you ready for me to list the grievances? I'm just kidding. But to list the official visit schedule. Are you ready, Phil?
Yes, because I only have yesterday's list. I don't have the updated for
well,
today.
It's on the Big Spur, dude. Just go to
the
football recruiting tab and scroll down to visits. Official visits are listed. Unofficial yeah.
Oh, there
all right. So Friday, May 30th.
Boom.
This is a group. This is a group here, boy. I like this. Because it's a bunch of players from the north of South Carolina. Travis Johnson, the number 16 receiver in the country from Oscar Smith High School in Chesapeake. That's one of the winning programs in the 757. So he's coming in. He's scheduled. And that's old news. A new one, Kerry Adams from Loyola Blakefield in Towson, Maryland. Torian Gray went by to see him during the contact period. Gamecocks have been up there. The only thing I really know about his recruitment is he's probably not going to Maryland. He's just not a player that they feel will stay in state. And then the aforementioned Ben Bolware from Winston-Salem, Oak Grove. This guy's 6'5", 305 right now listed. which means he's probably going to play at 325, and he's a D tackle. Give me more of these.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you need that. That's a big hole filler.
Guess what? No, Georgia's also on him. So remember a couple of years ago,
Oh,
every
Lord.
D tackle the Gamecocks had,
totally.
they finished second to Georgia.
You're going to trigger everybody in the chat box.
Frustrating. So on Friday, the next weekend, Friday, June 6th, Ryan Mosley, I have a crystal ball in for the Gamecocks, 4-star receiver from Carrollton, Georgia, 6'4", 206. By the way, Travis Johnson, the one from the previous weekend from Virginia, 6'3". So it looks like the Gamecocks are looking, Phil, toward that height, you know, getting those outside guys in this class. Another big-time D tackle from North Carolina, 4-star player, Noah Clark from C.E. Jordan, who I just mentioned. Travian Robertson goes up there. He schedules an official. That's good. Big-time number 12 player in the state. And then another receiver from North Carolina, about 6'2", Gordon Sellers for Providence Day. Good player. Carolina-Clemson battle there from what I've heard. We'll see what happens. And then the big weekend. Drum roll, please. It's going to be a big weekend. Jared Curtis, number 1 quarterback in the country, per composite, is in that weekend. Darius Gray from Virginia, the number 3 interior offensive line prospect in America, high 4-star per composite from Richmond. He's got a slew of offers, a lot of visits lined up, but South Carolina's been strong with him from the beginning. It may be one of those things, though, where in the end he goes elsewhere. I'm not as, there's something called a commitment window. And I think, like, when the commitment, and this is kind of getting into recruiting analyst jargon that or an internal conversation that you have in your head, like what I would always call the recruiting window turning red. That means like there's a period of time where a player you think will pull the trigger for a team, and if it gets beyond that, it's not red anymore. It goes back to blue or whatever.
No,
Name
right.
your color, whatever code.
Yeah. You use warm, hot, cold.
Warm, hot, whatever. And I sort of feel like, not expecting him to commit, but I sort of feel like if it goes all the way to June 20th, that recruiting window is probably not going to be red anymore. Samari Matthews, on the other hand, his recruiting or commitment window has never been red, because it's a 50-50 battle between South Carolina and Clemson. He's the number 6 athlete in the country. He's going to be a corner at Carolina, another top 70 player at 66 overall. Clint so kindly pointed out Carr. He's also in Friday, June 20th, that weekend. He is a 4-star per composite. Like I said, the Gamecocks have a commitment from high 3-star corner Peyton Dyer. He is in that weekend of the 20th. And then this stud from Rock Hill Northwestern, Tamarian Watkins, he's rated as a 3-star right now, Phil. I can't imagine that's not going up. 6'4", 200, just a freak. And so the 20th weekend shaping up to be big. But I also kind of like the May 30th weekend, Phil. Travis Johnson, Gary Adams, and Ben Boulware, that's not chopped liver.
Oh, that's not bad at all. I mean, when you look at it, especially with the way they've been rated right now before any updates into what is, I expect to be their senior year. Yeah, I mean, plenty of talent. That's one thing that, here you go, back to winning, JC. You're good. Yeah, good call back to that.
Helps, and it always, I saw one of my longtime posters on the Big Spur, great guy, pointed out the other day about Jared Curtis. He's like, well, it's important for some 5-star or something. Well, Carolina's at least got to win 7 or 8 or 9 games next year to get this guy. And I pointed out he's going to be done by then. I mean, the quarter Curry could most likely at the beginning of the season. That's the way it is these days, because everybody signs in December. They don't wait to see your record or anything like that. Now you can lose them after they commit, certainly, if things go bad. But it's what having a good 2024 does. It catapults you into an even better 2026. That's what 2022 did. 24. So that was good. And Beamer and his staff do a really good job of recruiting, and also retention. So There you go. Back to the Nana Sports chat box to wrap it up. We'll wrap up this segment and get to our final break of the day. Craig says, I want to hear a coffee on depth at nickel. Craiger, we may have to wait a while on that, buddy, because it's an open question right now as to who is going to be at nickel and who's going to go say. Like, the linchpin to all this is, will Jalen Kilgore slide back and just take Eamon Warre's spot? Because DQ Smith wants, and for those that want to replace DQ Smith, they're not going to do that. They love DQ Smith. They're not replacing him. So just put that up. Same thing with Case and Henry at right tackle. It's not going to happen. It would be a very big surprise if it happened.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Too is like, yeah, that one's locked. Yeah, it's locked.
That one's locked. So DQ, is at one, and then somebody's got to replace Nick. So do they just say, let's just let Kilgore do it, and then find a new nickel, or do they leave Kilgore at nickel, and then some of those guys like Kelvin Hunter, or goes back to safety, just Jalua Solomon slide back to corner? Is there somebody in the class that they could put at nickel that's a freshman? Brandon Cisse, where does he play? Is he a nickel? And then you can move Kilgore back, and then Cisse is your nickel, and then there's no starting spots. But so to break down the depth at nickel, and I know you're saying it tongue in cheek, but I actually, I wouldn't mind doing that. But I have to know like where everybody's playing, and every time I guess about that, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
How about wrong? How about no? So anyway, Steven points out if UNC can't win with Belichick, they won't win big ever. I don't know, man. I think Belichick, it's either going to be like, I don't know. All right, remember Bill Walsh, Phil?
Yes.
Coach for the 49ers.
Yeah, that's right. 49ers. Yeah.
After his stint at the 49ers, he went back to Stanford to coach for 3 years. And he was at Stanford before. And I think he had one good year. He's like 9-3. And then there was like a 6-5, and then a 4-7, and then he's out. It could either go that way because Bill is 72 years old and probably ain't going to stick around and lose. Or you could see like Saban principles tied to it. And if next year they clean up in recruiting and all that, and he's got 4 or 5 years he puts into it before he turns it over to his son, who's a hard rock Harry, Steve Belichick. And then they can do some damage. But
it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to the limitations that college football has where the NFL does not.
Yeah, and it's practice time and all that. And then he's going to have to be a little bit humbler and understand. It's the same concept in school. I mean, you don't go teach calculus to 5th graders, do you? No. And so that's that there. One good interesting thing about Steve Belichick, and I'm just going to throw this wild thing out because I didn't get to say it on JC and Morgan because it was in the JC5 and we didn't get to it. We just talked to Luganville the whole time, which was awesome and probably better than the JC5. So if you're the Washington Huskies, Jed Fish, you have lost 2 of your coordinators to nepotism. Because your OC, Brennan Carroll, went with his daddy, Pete, to the Raiders.
Off to go with Pete.
To be the run game coordinator under Chip Kelly. And then Hard Rock Harry went to Chapel Hill with Bill. How about that? So,
as if you were already, having a hard enough time put a team together out there. Because it was like, whew, man, talk about a fall off year over year. I mean, obviously it's explainable, but yeah.
Oh, Washington?
Yeah.
They'll be okay. I mean, they were very average this season, but they didn't sink. They went 6-7, lost to Louisville in one of my favorite bowls, the Sun Bowl. But they didn't, and they're in a new league and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to follow the progress of their program moving forward, if we're being honest. But all right, let's hit this final break, Phil, and come back. And Krager says Teen Wolf Belichick. Ow! That's awesome. We'll come back. I'll catch up with Clint because Clint's got a lot of good stuff in the Nana Sports chat box. maybe get into basketball a little bit. Maybe we'll just punt it until tomorrow.
Yeah, they
Maybe
don't
just
have a
not.
midweek, so there's no rush.
Yeah, I need to get in. We're gonna have a segment soon. It's been on the menu. We'll call it the menu.
It's on the menu.
It's been on the menu the last couple of days just to talk about like what needs to happen with the men's basketball program. And I've got some thoughts, and those thoughts are probably not going to change, so we can hold it over. But we'll definitely talk about that. So more recruiting, going to talk a little bit to Clint. If you have any questions in the Nana Sports chat box, I'm wide open. I'm an open book. Maybe we have some off-topic things that I've got to ask Phil, but we'll see. All right, let's hit a break. We are sponsored by Tony Pope State Farm. Just going to tell you again, if you're in North Carolina or Georgia, want to support a Gamecock who supports the Gamecocks with his money, big time, support Tony Pope. Plus, you get great insurance. Go to TonyPope.com today. He's a proud sponsor of all we do here at Chief Sports and a great human being. I don't know many better people than Tony Pope. So please consider giving him your business. And you can do it out of state too. Like I know when I lived in Georgia, it was hard for me to support Gamecock businesses because there's not a lot of them. Maybe Zaxby's. But if you have a chance to do it this way, though, with your insurance, something as simple as that, and you won't get insurance, and just to hit Tony Pope up, it'll be worth it, and you could do something for the University of South Carolina in the process, and a good human. All right, back into this on Inside the Gamecocks The Show.
We got started in 1979. Because we're a manufacturer, we're able to control our costs. That's why we like to manufacture as much of the product as we can, because in our factory stores we can offer a competitive edge over other people around the country. When people come into one of our Palm Casuals, it's like they're buying their car at Detroit. They're going right to the factory and buying their car.
30-day money-back guarantee. That's a big deal with us. I mean, we give 30 days to do anything. I mean, return it, change it, get a different color, get your money back.
When you pull into a store and it says Palm Casual, you know you're at a factory store.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
What Right to Bear is we're an association of members across the entire country, and what we offer is we offer legal defense in the event of a self-defense case.
Nice.
So it's not insurance. So we offer an attorney in the event that one of our members might have some type of an accident. ProtectWithBear.com. We've got all of our social media accounts on the bottom of our website. We've got blogs, articles, detailed description of all of the coverages in depth, and we'd love to have you come check us out and ultimately get the protection you need.
Welcome back, everybody, inside the Gamecocks The Show. Final segment of the show for a Tuesday afternoon. On a Tuesday, we got finally got everybody out of my house. JC, everybody is well enough to go to school or back to work, and it's been really nice. Just happy that the girls are feeling better. That was the biggest part of it. That, and I don't know if you talked to Dina, but she took a face plant heading into the kitchen over the weekend and busted up her lip on the inside. Oh my goodness, it's been
Jesus.
Yeah, oh man, no, it's been rough. Yeah, right.
That's crazy.
That's right. Yeah, hopefully he's gonna have to attend somewhere on Wednesday.
Is she gonna go
to the temple with the in-laws? Yeah, she's all right. It's just her lip was swollen up real bad. Back to work today though, and it was bad enough we went to urgent care just to double check. Yeah, which here, Sunday. This is Phil Sunday. It's a twofer Sunday urgent care. Took my wife and my youngest, who happened to pop a fever about 15 minutes before we decided to go to urgent care. I've literally been inside. I've been to the doctor, if you include the pediatrician, urgent care, everywhere else. Within the past, there was a 4-day stretch where I was 5 times at the doctor. So 5 copays in 4 days, not to mention all the bills that I'll get in the mail, because of the flu test, COVID test, this test, that test, x-rays with one. Oh, but everybody's well. So no complaint.
That shouldn't be that. I mean, at least you're going to hit your out of pocket.
yeah. In February, just like you draw it up.
Gregor mentions this show freaking flies by. It does for me too.
It does, man.
But hey, look, man, I'll be like I said when we went to this, I was like, man, I don't know how much longer I can do 3. I'd quit. I mean, those that may know, I had a 3-hour show in Columbia. As soon as I could quit that, I did. And the 3-hour show in Greenville, I just walked out. and I found myself really feel like, when we were doing the 3-hour, like I kind of like timed it. And I would get till about 15 minutes into the 3rd hour and just feel sick and nauseous.
Yeah.
And, it has something to, like Mike Morgan. Mike Morgan has done back-to-back. He's done a JC and Morgan, all 3 hours of the show, and then gone and talked on the radio on 680 The Fan in Atlanta all in one day. And so he's set up that way. He's wired.
Right. That's right. He's wired for that.
I'm
right.
wired. And I got vertigo really bad a couple years ago. And obviously that has to do with like your audible and your ears and stuff. So I'm pretty careful with like, that's why I don't wear like earbuds and things like that. Cause I can't stand it. And, but it was taxing. I'm much more comfortable with this because I have things to say and I get to talk more because we don't, we have very few guests and
it's not, we're not
we
having
get to talk to you more and
drive an interview,
our chat boxers more. It's actually fun. But I will be on with Jamie tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. At 11.
You're going to be on with Coach Maneri. Y'all get to both talk some baseball. That'll be fun.
Oh, well, maybe I won't be on.
I don't know.
I don't have much to say.
He's at 11.
Not that I don't like Coach Maneri. I'll listen to it, but I don't have much to bring to the table, Phil, because we're going to have to get a baseball person in here to talk about baseball.
I know. We're going to have to hammer down JB to come in at least once a week to talk some ball.
Well, I think I got Whittle. I think I got Whittle on Fridays.
Oh, nice.
Squared away to do that for about 15 minutes. I have to talk to him. And I don't know what's going to happen next Friday, but I'm assuming we'll have a special like we normally do. But anyway.
We're working on that.
Okay, back to football. By the way, so Coach Paul Maneri is on Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show tomorrow.
Yes,
at 11 Eastern.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't miss it because he is typically his normal candid self, so it should be good. Yeah, 11:30 tomorrow. Yeah.
Getting a coach this close to opening day too is usually rare. I'll say that. Bruin's going to put out some fake news on me. I love when Bruin puts out the fake news. He's like, first sources, JC's not a big baseball guy. Spin that narrative, baby. Woo. That's good. It's good. Lead it up. But, back to Clint from the Nano Sports chat box. And Steven, I hope I answered your question. I don't know what to make of Belichick and Chapel Hill, but I'm sure going to tune into North Carolina football just to see it.
Right. I mean, hey, if the spectacle of it has got to be worth something, right? That's where I, kind of figured it would be with Bill. Like, here you are, you're going to draw plenty of national attention to a traditional basketball powerhouse, struggling, albeit though in the past few years. But now they're going to have more attention on the football program.
Well, and I'll say this, and this was going to be my Braveheart drop in yesterday. To quote Edward the Longshanks, what news of the North?
Yeah, what news of the North?
Apparently, they're wanting to fire Hubert Davis.
Well, you got to figure their leash on that end of things is a lot shorter than it is anywhere else.
Well, since we're going biblical today, didn't intend to do that.
No, that's all right.
But it's so, there's a verse in the Bible, so and so begot so and so begot so and so begot so and so.
Oh yeah, it's basically how the book of Matthew starts.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, so Frank McGuire begot Dean Smith, begot Bill Guthridge, begot Matt Doherty, begot Old Roy, begot Hubert. So they haven't deviated from the Frank McGuire coaching tree in 70 something years. Like, it's all been part of the branches of that tree.
Yeah, like
because Dean Smith was an assistant,
right? Yeah,
under Frank McGuire, and then Roy was an assistant under Dean, and then Matt Doherty was an assistant under Dean, and then Roy, or Doherty was in front of Roy, and then Hubert was Roy's assistant. They have not gone out of the family. Duke didn't go out of the family to replace Coach K. But Coach K, remember, he went to Duke in the early 80s with another South Carolina connection. How about this? Because the Gamecocks hired Bill Foster.
Right.
Hired Duke's coach away from him.
That's right.
And Coach K took over, had 2 losing seasons. People were like, hey, he's not that good. And he turned it around. So there you go. But Coach K just hung it up recently. So Shire is doing a good job. So if you're North Carolina, I don't know, Phil. I think it's good they've had this Belichick distraction to kind of, because that North Carolina has just not been strong.
No,
right?
No, you're not used to like North Carolina wanting to talk football and looking forward to baseball season.
Yeah. By the way, so the Labor Day night ACC game is North Carolina. They got TCU coming to Chapel Hill.
Oh,
so the showcase game Labor Day night is going to be the Horned Frogs coming in and playing Bill Belichick's team. So Sonny Dykes versus Bill Belichick. That's a coaching matchup on Labor Day night for the ages, right? From Chapel Hill. I'm sure that'll get a lot of ratings. There'll be a lot of people tuning in for that.
Oh, yeah.
Check out this schedule though, dude. So TCU comes in and then they go at Charlotte.
At
Charlotte.
What the hell is it with these Power 4 schools traveling to these damn commuter schools?
Yo,
it's absolutely ridiculous.
Chapel Hill went to App State and Georgia State back to back.
Yeah, that is true.
Ago.
And almost lost their ass at both, right?
Yeah.
If I remember. They had to win both in a shootout, didn't they?
App State game was crazy good.
Yeah.
The Georgia State game. It was 2022 because Georgia State came to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then almost knocked off North Carolina the next week. But so that's weird. Isn't that weird? It is weird, isn't it?
It is.
So and then they play the Richmond Spiders at home. And then they go to the Bounce House and play at UCF. Why?
Just knock all your non-cons out right all at once.
So you mean to tell me that you're gonna schedule TCU at home, you're gonna play a road game at Charlotte and UCF in the same season, and then they're off, and then Clemson comes to town. Never thought I'd say Dabo's. If you'd have said if a Clemson fan had come back in time, let's say Clemmer from the future, right? Terminator pulls up. He's got his little Clemson jacket on. Hey, I'm from the future. I'm a Clemson fan from the future. And all he says is this. He delivers this, or she, or whatever. Or maybe androgynous.
They.
So, since we're talking about a Clemson fan from the future. They. So he's like, in October of 25, Dabo Swinney will be coaching against Bill Belichick. And then I'd have been like,
oh, Dabo moved on to the NFL, huh? Yeah, right.
I would think, first of all, it's some lie. They're going to say, no, or that somebody at South Carolina had hired Bill Belichick. Is that just to follow them?
That's right, with the Lou and the
but no, I would have thought, he'd have gone to the NFL or something like that, or it was just some, piece of propaganda like Dabo has now turned down President Trump's appointment to be chief of staff. He's staying at Clemson. It's funny how everybody kind of bought into that back in the day because, South Carolina went through a period where, Clemson really pushed that. I thought it was crap, but pushed the whole like, we got family values up here. They don't. The heathens in Columbia. I'm like, I've lived in South Carolina my whole life, man. Where are all the heathens in Columbia? I mean, it's not like Columbia is Hot Springs, Arkansas, or Tunica, Mississippi, or some gambling, stumbling river town. I mean, like you think you pull through back in the 1900s on a horse-drawn cart, and there's been ladies of the night out there in front of the saloon.
In the saloon,
like Fort Worth, Texas, in 1883.
That's right. It's the Wild West.
So,
Very
but
cosmopolitan.
Yeah. So, nevertheless. So it's like, I mean, you think that, but they played that when Bowden was there and Holtz was here because he kind of knew Holtz. Holtz didn't keep his eye on the ball and things like that and stuff. And they really pumped that up. Then Spurrier got here and changed it over time. And now, you're just like, Clemson, we're just more family oriented up here. Okay, whatever. I mean, you're more family oriented than what Shane Beamer's doing. Okay.
Look, it's funny. North Carolina's schedule,
back to that. So Dabo comes in.
I mean, they end the year playing the in-state schools in conference. Wake, Duke, North Carolina State, back to back to back. It's like an NFL division.
That is a nice, it's like the Bears didn't play a division team till like November.
Right.
But after Clemson, they go at Cal, so they cross the country for that. Virginia comes in. Then they go at Syracuse. Stanford comes in. So they play Cal and Stanford. They're at Wake, then Duke, and then at Carter Finley for the game against the Wolfpack. Dave Dorn versus
Dorn.
What if the portal from time, like a Wolfpack, they or them from the future followed the Clemson dude in, trying to chase him? It was like, no, Dave Dorn's going to be coaching against Bill Belichick in November. Now, I would have thought that was Dave Dorn going to the NFL, and I'd have thought I was just totally wrong about that guy, but not yet.
No.
I gave him credit at the beginning of last year. It's like, well, they're going to be pretty good. I agree with everybody, especially Brad Crawford. I did. I thought their personnel was really good, and I didn't think Grayson McCall would be as bad as he was and not a fit.
Right.
But I'm back on
then it was quick. When you saw that Western Carolina opener, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, it was bad. I think he did a pretty good job. If you want to be truthful about it, I think Dave Dorn did a pretty good job, Phil, of getting them to a bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that
team
did not look like it was going to get there early. No.
Well, and then they beat North Carolina again. I mean, that game, that series, I don't know if people know this in football, it is very lopsided. I mean, North Carolina, I think it was more lopsided than Clemson and South Carolina overall for a while. Not anymore. It's North Carolina leads the series 68-40, and there's been 6 ties. So if I like Clemson to South Carolina, I mean, they're up by almost 30. Of course, North Carolina was much better at football early. Like, they cared more about football from like 1894 to like the 50s, till Dean Smith and Frank McGuire got there.
That's right. Until basketball really turned it on.
Yeah, since 07 though, State 5-2, 6-3. State is 13-5 in the series. They've won. Dave Dorn's won 4 in a row, dude.
How long has he been at North Carolina State? Is it 10 years now? He's been there a hot minute.
He has been there for a while. I don't. He took whenever Northern Illinois went to the. Remember that year Northern Illinois went to the Orange Bowl?
Oh my gosh.
He was the head coach at Northern then. He used to be at Wisconsin because he was a guy I used to work with at Rivals back in those days. Was buddies with him. He was like Wisconsin's best recruiter back in the day. He's from Kansas originally, where this person was from.
Yeah, 2012, 13 years.
Yeah, first season was 2013.
Yep.
He's 110 and 69 overall, and 87 and 65 at NC State. He may be the winningest coach in the history of NC State football. Maybe wins.
Oh, that wouldn't be surprising.
Wouldn't be. Dick Sheridan, South Carolina graduate, was one of the best coaches they've ever had, in my opinion. They were really good back in the day. But, so old Dave Dorn keeps on going, so we'll see what happens. Didn't mean to get sidetracked on North Carolina football. Kreger has another reason besides music. He doesn't watch movies from Nana Sports Chat. He says, I'm a part of every single South Carolina show on YouTube. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
I'm
Craig.
impressed with Craig's ability
Integral.
to listen to Sports Talk Radio because he also listens to Bill King in the morning.
Not only listens, but he live tweets.
Interacts.
Bill King. Yeah, that's right. He live tweets.
Because it's like, first of all, Craig in North Augusta. JC, that's how Bill talks. Craig in North Augusta asks. I love doing that show. I love doing that show with Bill King. It was, God used to do that recruiting show on Sirius XM. That was on that was Thursday mornings. I'd do that. Drive to downtown Nashville. It was early in the morning. You'd see some bachelorette parties gone askew.
Oh yeah. The
People
walks
just
of
went,
shame. Yeah.
And then you drive in ample parking downtown at 6 a.m. Go to the Baby Space Needle right there at Bridgestone Arena. That's where the studios were. I mean, that was big time. That was big time.
Yeah, man.
And Bill made it big time, man. That guy's a legend. Anyway, I've yammered on enough. I've run the gamut today.
We have. We've
I had my
all,
faith attacked. I dropped an F-bomb by accident. We talked recruiting. She touched my leg. Yeah. Her Dumb and Dumber. She touched my leg.
She touched my leg.
And you may or may not get me on the morning show tomorrow.
I don't know.
Maybe preempted with Paul Maneri. But you'd probably rather listen to him than me because I'm going to listen because I need to learn a little bit about this team. I've just picked up bits and pieces from Whittle and reading and stuff like that. I do think this team can get to a super regional just based on gut feeling and publicly available information. It kind of feels that way.
From what I've been hearing, man, I'm excited about baseball.
Oh gosh, I hope it's a good year, man. It's like the sports gods will be. And no, I don't believe in some mythical sports gods. Whoever's out there judging me. I'm a Christian.
So that's the altar upon which he worships.
Yeah, I'm a Christian monotheist. Monotheist, is that how you say it?
Yeah, monotheist. Yeah,
monotheist. But the sports gods, like boy, if there's a bad baseball season, we're gonna be like, boy, we paid through the nose to beat Missouri
for 9 wins.
Right?
Yeah, those 9 wins really cost us in the fall.
Good God. But Pip on a Blimp says he played golf. Yeah, I got on 107.5 this morning. It was 79 degrees was the high.
Yeah,
79.
We're pushing 80 down here this week, and then it's.
I hate you guys.
I hate you guys. Yeah, because y'all got a big cold blast coming through.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to snow tomorrow.
Yeah,
it was actually like 52 yesterday. It was comfortable.
Bundle up, comrade.
All right, get us out of here, Phil.
Yep, like JC said, don't miss it tomorrow. Live morning show, 10 o'clock. JB will have everything hopping. We are working on somebody for the morning, so guest to be determined. 11 o'clock, though, head baseball coach Paul Maneri joins JB to give us a preview of the season. I'm sure Jamie will do his best to try to get any scoop out of him that he'll be willing to divulge. But don't miss that. We've got the walkthrough tonight. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, Joe Machika walkthrough, more than likely doing some women's basketball coverage. Might take a look at some baseball and men's hoops. And other than that, JC and I will see you tomorrow back here live at noon on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Y'all enjoy the rest of your terrible Tuesday.